Hi, I'm Tallie Foster. With me today is Mayor Stephen DiNatale. He's up for re-election, so I just have a couple questions for him today. First of all, Mayor, you've had 2 very good years in office. Is there anything that you're most proud of?
First of all, let me thank FATV for producing some of the best viewing for our citizens of the city of Fitchburg and surrounding communities as well. For having this, the opportunity to speak to some of the folks in Fitchburg and let them know some of the good things that have happened in the city over the last 2 years. And you're absolutely right. Something that Tallie, I can't confine it to one specific, effort on our part. It's been a multi-pronged approach to some of the successes we've had. What I point to is we've had more than a modest increase in commercial growth in the city. So I'm very proud of that. And whatever I say today, Tal, whatever I say is predicated on the fact that we have an outstanding team in the city of Fitchburg and with my administration, but I couldn't accomplish these things certainly without their help. So that economic development, that growth factor was indicated just last week by our city assessor when he described the fact that we're experiencing about an 8% growth, which is not in and of itself noteworthy because we've had those kinds of situations in the past. What's noteworthy this time is it's in all sectors: housing, retail and commercial, industrial. So to have it in all those sectors makes it so much more impressive, and we're thrilled with those numbers. We're going to continue to focus on economic growth and the challenges that come with that. I mean, we've experienced a lot of it. I liken it to a baseball game. We're kind of like, we're in the early innings. We've had a couple of base hits, maybe a double here or there. The soccer complex, for instance, I call that a home run. Okay, that will be, and that's not even included in those numbers I just quoted you about, that 8% growth. That won't take effect until next year. So there's another reason to be happy with the way things are going. We've got a great deal of interest in West Fitchburg. We have the convenience store that went in there. It's a Nathan's, it's a Dunkin' Donuts, and it's a Honey Farms. A lot of activity there in conjunction with the Wachusett station, the train station. The reports I'm getting right now are at least 100 cars a day that are going there, pick up the train, the commuter rail, the MBTA into Boston or wherever it may be along the line, wherever they may be going. So that is an area that's ripe for economic development, and we're going to focus on that. Some of the other aspect of what my administration's accomplished is we've attacked blight in the city of Fitchburg. We had buildings that have been in disrepair for far too long. We've addressed that. We've taken down some of those larger buildings last year. This year, the focus is going to be more on the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. We're sending a message to our citizens that we care about you. We care about your neighborhoods. We're going in there to start cleaning up one property at a time. So that's another thing that I'm very proud of. And we've made changes in our departments in terms of who's heading those departments up. We've hired some people that have just been, I don't know, I must be rolling the dice and coming up with, whatever it is you need to come up with, because it's, I've got people working in departments now that are just absolutely fabulous, from the procurement officer, who's not just the procurement officer. We stole her away from the city of Gardner. Mayor Hawk, you listening to this? Kidding. But, and our building commissioner came from Oak Bluffs down on the Cape. Wow. And he's been just doing a fabulous job. Very, very bright man and very motivated. So those are some of the things I'm proudest of. But there's a lot more. Yeah. I mean, I'm just touching on a few,
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think is the strongest quality of the city?
strongest quality of the city. You know, we're in one of them right here. Our amenities, the amenities in the city of Fitchburg are second to none. We've got 22 parks. This is just one of them. And this is really, everybody uses the word gem. This is a gem.
Agree.
And that, we've got an outstanding school system, given the challenges that we have, because we are an urban center of 42,000 people. And I think we do an outstanding job. We have expended more in net school spending than ever before. We've exceeded it because we are committed to our schools. And the strongest aspect of the city of Fitchburg, and I know it's overly used, is its people. I just had a meeting yesterday with our Human Rights Commission. They had a presentation at the Senior Center. And I said one of the key factors in the city of Fitchburg that people I sometimes take for granted is our ability to collaborate and to compromise and to bring people together. We had someone from outside of the city, he's from Seattle, Washington, who came in to do a presentation regarding facing addiction with the opioid crisis that we're embroiled in right now, talking about the fact that what he found amazing was not only the collaboration, but the fact that everyone really knows each other. You know, you get in a room. I've known these people for over 12 years. I was the state rep for 10. So these last 2, it's a familiarity that really generates results. And that's something that we should be very proud of, and we should tout. And that's what I'm proudest of about the city of Fitchburg. We really work well together.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned our public parks. Have you considered increasing the green space in the city?
You know, that's a challenge because we're an old city.
Right.
I mean, what's there is there. And you know, you're restricted as to what you can do with parks. If it's a park, you can't just take a piece of it without replacing it with a piece somewhere else. Right. So I think we're in great shape when it comes to that. I think, some of the walking trails, I was just at the North County Land Trust annual meeting yesterday afternoon, and we preserve more watershed land than a number of communities, particularly communities that we abut. So we're very proud of that, and that's through the hard work of people like Janet Morrison, my water commissioner, John DeLine, always looking for more and more properties to protect the watershed. Not to mention the city of Fitchburg is one of our assets. We've got more water than a lot of other places. I think we've got 11 reservoirs, something like that. So we're water rich. And maybe someday we can capitalize on that in a different way, but we're fortunate in that respect.
And is creating like a greener economy or going more environmentally friendly within the city on your agenda?
Yeah. Well, this year, just about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we became a green community. So we were the only community in the North County region to not be a green community. So we're now opened ourselves up to grant funding. We just received our first check for over $340,000, which is we're required to plow that back into our municipal buildings, which we will do, which we have done with our DPW for some of our solar arrays that we've constructed. We've got solar arrays on 2 of our schools. So we're always looking for ways to save certainly money for the citizens. Now what we're hoping the state will do is expand the limit on solar and allow more houses and property owners to do the same thing.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yep.
So do you have any specific plans for what you can do to increase businesses coming into the city?
Yeah, that's always a challenge. Matter of fact, I was thinking about that we've got to do a better job of trying to attract certainly businesses downtown. And I think in regard to that, you being a Fitchburg State student, we need a reason, we need an anchor to bring you young folks into the downtown. We're working with Reimagine North of Main. We're working with Mock. These are some of the collaborative partnerships I was talking about. And what I'm planning on doing coming up very shortly is hiring a firm to really rebrand the city of Fitchburg, to market us. Things like the commuter rail line, encouraging people to move out to Fitchburg because of that commuter rail line, and because it's much more affordable, and with the amenities that we can provide. But we were talking about that baseball analogy, you know, like the soccer field being a home run. I'm looking for that grand slam. You know what I mean? There's three guys on base, and you put one in the stands, right? 4 runs. That grand slam is hopefully going to come in the form of technology parks, that kind of thing. And we've got a couple of areas that we're laser focused on, that we're hoping that we can make some advances there. There's substantial enough acreage where if we can prepare those sites with infrastructure, then we'll certainly get an interest from people that want to come in and put a structure there, and that grand slam is important because it means employing people. You know, significant numbers of people. That's what that would be the grand slam. So we're hoping we can get to the starting pitcher and bring in the guy in relief, and he coughs one up. So.
Great. Well, you mentioned Main Street, so there is a Planned Parenthood on Main Street.
Yes.
Do you feel that that's been a beneficial addition to our community?
You know, I don't want to talk about whether or not it's pro-choice, pro-life. It's not really that. That's not the issue. I think I would like to reserve Main Street for commercial and retail. We're on the verge of moving the Department of Transitional Assistance to another building on River Street, just off of River Street. That's a start. That's a good start. You know, people that have that need are, you know, we certainly have to take care of that situation. But I think, again, Main Street, in my mind, should be a retail commercial focus. So Planned Parenthood, I can foresee us having discussions with them and hopefully working to getting to yes, and maybe meeting some kind of a compromise with finding another space for them. But we haven't even begun that discussion, so that's well in advance of where we are right now. So, I mean, if they're watching this, they're going to say, geez, we didn't know that. And it's because I haven't spoken to them yet, but we will. We'll begin a dialogue, and hopefully we can reach a compromise.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you have any plans to address the large number of homeless people that live in the city?
Well, you know, I'm learning more and more every day that the homeless situation is not just in Fitchburg, certainly. It's in a number of communities, not the least of which is our neighboring Leominster, who has the same issues. We have, through CDBG funding, this past round, I expended $35,000 to our father's house, $35,000, to hire an individual that will focus just on that. And Kevin McLean, who is really the director of the homeless situation in Fitchburg, is a great partner with me. Matter of fact, we just had a meeting last week, myself, the DPW commissioner, and the chief of police, to talk about some of those areas and how we can reach out to them and offer the assistance that we think they need. But we also want to impress upon them that their situation is not advantageous to the city of Fitchburg, and encourage them to avail themselves of those resources. So that we'll continue to have that kind of a process in place. And it's been pretty effective. Kevin McLean is an outstanding, no one knows more about that population than he does. So we're fortunate to have him as a partner in the community. Yeah.
So I know that you said Fitchburg has a strong sense of community.
Yeah.
Do you see that there's any kind of discrimination or racism that goes on throughout the city?
You know, I think we do a great job. As I mentioned, yesterday's Human Rights Commission meeting at the Senior Center was a brainstorming forum, if you will. We put different ideas on the board, but I think we're ahead of the game. I think Fitchburg, we've always been an inclusive city, and we'll continue to be that, certainly as long as I'm the mayor. And that's not to say that there aren't isolated incidences, which there would be in any community. But we we want to impress upon the fact that we are inclusive. We really don't. It's a human condition situation. We don't judge. We don't judge what your situation is, as long as you're living and operating within the bounds of the law, and you're also being a productive member of the community. That's all we expect from you, and I think we achieve that. I think we make sure that people feel included.
Hi, I'm Tallie Foster, back with our City News Special, and with me now I have Alexander Vera, who is running for the challenger running for mayor. We're in the beautiful historic Coggeshall Park, and I just have a couple questions for Alex today. So, what got you into politics?
So what got me into politics? This funny story behind that, actually. So as you may know, I went to Monty Tech, and so my senior year of Monty Tech, I actually was, involved a lot with the theater program and acting, and so I thought I was going to be an actor. But then I asked myself a question, and I was like, the question was, if I was living a great life, how can my life get any better? And I was going around asking people that, and no one seemed to come up with an answer. People were just saying, you know what, if you're already living a great life, your life can't get any better. But I didn't want to take that as a final answer. So, I thought about it some more, and I realized that my life could get better if everyone else around me was also living a good life. So that's kind of what opened my eyes into being a public servant and actually helping out the community. So ever since I was in high school, I've wanted to run for mayor, and this year came around, and I was just like, I think I'm finally ready.
Great. And what is your biggest accomplishment to date? What are you most proud of?
Sure. What am I most proud of? So I've done a lot of volunteering and that sort of thing. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is, being honest and continuing to help people no matter what kind of background they're from and, what situation they're in. Just the other day, I had to pull over on the street because there was two handicapped people in wheelchairs in the middle of the road because the sidewalk was just, unbearable for them to go on. So I had to pull over and actually have to push one lady because she was in a manual wheelchair, trying to drag her leg along, try to push herself. So I pushed her all the way to her building. And I've done that a couple times now, and I think that's something that I'm most proud of is, being humble and not being afraid to, dirty my hands when need to.
And what is your main goal for Fitchburg? Like, what would you want to change?
Sure. So there's so many things. I think Fitchburg has so much potential. One of the main goals would be, I think, inspiring, others and younger generation to come up and actually get involved with politics, because I think, especially in the local levels, it's very important that we not only pay attention, but we also get involved, because what happens and who we elect in the local level really affects each and every one of us.
Absolutely. Do you feel that there's a particular demographic that might need like the most assistance or could use the most help?
So I could easily go and say, the Hispanic population here in Fitchburg needs the most help, but I'm not going to say that because of the simple fact that I feel like we're all living, each and every one of us, no matter what, ethnic background we're from, each and every one of us are facing the same issues here in Fitchburg. And, whether that be, just not being able to afford the electric bill, or, just trying to open up a business here in Fitchburg. I think that all of us together, as a community, really need to work together to be able to build Fitchburg up to back to where it should be.
And do you think that there's any way that you could increase business coming into Fitchburg?
I definitely think I could increase business. As mayor, I would take it upon myself to be the #1 recruiter for the city of Fitchburg when it comes to businesses. I think that the mayor should be the biggest cheerleader when it comes to Fitchburg, when it comes to new people coming into Fitchburg or just anyone, asking any questions about Fitchburg. instead of going up there and doing the usual thing that politicians do and raise the taxes so that way we can get some more revenue, I think it's very important that the mayor takes it upon himself to go and meet as many people as he can, as many business owners as he can, and develop a plan to best fit and suit those incoming businesses.
And as business would grow, would you have going more environmentally friendly on your agenda?
Definitely. I think that's one of my main key points on my agenda, is to be as environmentally friendly and as sustainable as we can as a city. Actually, one of my plans that would actually bring more business to Fitchburg is tackling Unitil. And the way we would do that right now, we need to buy out their infrastructure. Buying out their infrastructure will allow us to not only eliminate the distribution fee on everyone's bills, but it also will allow Fitchburg to start actually gaining revenue from Unitil while they're powering everyone's home. And then I would bring it a step further, because the leaders that be for the past 10, 20 years, they've been trying to get rid of Unitil, but they haven't had an adequate plan. What are we going to replace Unitil with? Well, I don't want to just replace Unitil with National Grid or any other, gas or fossil fuel running company. I want to be able to replace Unitil with our own green generation facility, where we can generate our own power here, and then therefore be able to distribute it into the grid and actually be able to help our community, not only environmentally, but also economically as well.
Okay. And homelessness is kind of a large issue for our city. Do you feel that there's any way that you can address or help that population?
Definitely. Homelessness is a huge issue in our city, and I think one thing that we need to do is we need to, because we have so many buildings empty and vacant in Fitchburg. So if we could, get a hold of either one or two buildings, rehab it up and make that a building for homeless people to be able to have an adequate living situation, that'd be great. But we need to take it a step further, because we can't give the excuse to people to be able to want to be homeless and have free shelter. So I think we would need to come up with some sort of plan or program where the homeless, the people who are taking advantage of this program would in turn work either for the building or maintaining the building, so that way they maintain their stay, keeping themselves out of trouble, keeping themselves clean, and also putting some money in their pocket as well.
That's great. And within the past, I believe, 10 years, Planned Parenthood was added to our Main Street. Mm-hmm. Do you think that that's been a beneficial addition?
So I think any addition to Main Street is beneficial. Planned Parenthood has some, everything has its pros and cons. I do see a lot of people out protesting Planned Parenthood on the weekly basis. But nevertheless, I think that Planned Parenthood is a great program for women and families in general. So I don't think that it was a bad choice bringing Planned Parenthood onto Main Street.
Great. And also on Main Street, there's been the addition of a bike lane and making it one way. Do you think that that's been great? Would you want to see more things like that in the city?
Sure. So I think the bike lane is actually great, even though not many people use it right now. I think it's actually a great resource to have, especially having so many young people in our city. And just, we're promoting that, we're promoting a healthier lifestyle, by having a bike lane and having that accessibility. I do believe, though, we can still turn Main Street into a 2-lane with a bike lane and enough room to have, outdoor eating space and, indoor and outdoor shopping and all of that as well.
Would you like to see an increase in green space within the city?
Green space is definitely something very important. I know we have a lot of land here in Fitchburg available, and that's something that I would love to see more of. I personally feel like we have a lack of community gardens, and I think that's something very important to have, especially in a community as diverse as Fitchburg. There's so many kids now that are growing up eating so unhealthy, and they don't like vegetables and all that, but it's because they're not given a chance to actually grow it themselves and actually learn about the health benefits of eating healthy and being able to maintain and grow and harvest their own fruits and vegetables.
And with the current mayor, Stephen DiNatale, what do you think is the best thing that he's achieved in his term in office?
Definitely. So Mayor DiNatale, he's definitely achieved some great things. I think the best thing would be cleaning up our city aesthetically. He's taken in the initiative to knock down all those, or most of the abandoned buildings so far that were city-owned properties, and I think that's just giving Fitchburg, a cleaner look and a much more livelier vibe. Because before it was just all these buildings were just, room for error, meaning there was a lot of, safety and health hazards in these buildings. People are going in there to do all sorts of, negative things. So I think getting rid of these buildings and, just opening it up to Fitchburg aesthetically is just overall a great thing.
And do you think that there's anything he could have done differently or something that he maybe shouldn't have done?
So the only thing that comes to mind is the taxes that were recently raised on the residential side. The residents are already 77% of the 65% of taxable properties in Fitchburg are already residential. So I think by putting the burden more on the residents, it's actually hurting because some people, as I mentioned earlier, are having trouble paying their Unitil bill, and therefore then dishing out more money for their Unitil bill to keep their electricity on, and then thus they're not paying other bills that they're supposed to. And then I've already seen families lose their homes, and I've seen families just lose their houses, lose their place of living because they couldn't pay their rent, mortgage, etc. So raising the residential taxes, I think, is something, even though it may be a little under $50 a year or more. I still think that it makes a huge difference on the residents. Instead, I would have liked to see more business development, more business growth here in Fitchburg. I know there are a lot of business owners that are looking for the opportunity to own their own building and have their own space where they don't have to rent. So I think if we were able to come up with some sort of program where we were able to give these existing business owners, the buildings that they are actually looking for, that would actually help the development of our businesses now, and then actually add to new businesses in Fitchburg.
Great. And did you have a Spanish message that you wanted to include in this?
So pretty much all I want to let everyone know is that, no matter what political party you belong to, no matter what ethnic background or no matter where you've come from, I think it's important that we all stand together and actually go on to the other side and vote for someone who has the ideas, someone who has the energy, who has the passion, like myself, to actually move Fitchburg forward. I think together, if we stand as a community, and we come in numbers, we can actually make Fitchburg a better place to live and have a better future for our children. So should I say the Spanish part now?
Sure, go ahead.
Para ustedes viendo nosotros aquí, yo quiero decirle que nosotros podemos cambiar esta ciudad para el mejor. Yo sé que Fitchburg tiene tanta potencial y nosotros tenemos que ayudar uno al otro y juntos votar por alguien que puede en verdad cambiar Fitchburg para sus necesidades y también hacer Fitchburg una ciudad a donde nosotros podemos estudiar, podemos comer, podemos trabajar en paz, podemos tener un futuro mejor para nuestras familias. Gracias.
I'm Tallie Foster, and thank you for joining us on this Our City News special.